Okay, we got a 2005 Saturn Vue, the 2.2 liter Ecotech engine. My stepdaughter it's her car, and she was complaining that it was stalling on her in the mornings. And I was thinking it may be just a choke issue or something to that effect. But she complained that it was getting worse and worse until one day she couldn't get it to idle. And she was having a hard time, and it stalled on her several times at idle. She was able to get it home. I worked with it a little bit and found the spark plugs were just really bad. And so I replaced the spark plugs, and that really helped a lot. And we got it running. I thought, hey, this is great. It's going to work. And then the same issues came back and started malfunctioning again, mostly while driving, misfiring a little bit, but mostly it just wouldn't idle. And eventually it died for good. I couldn't keep it running. When I cranked on it enough, it might start, and then it would die until eventually it just wouldn't start at all. Complete failure. There was no engine codes showing for anything that would have to do with that. I replaced the ignition control module. I replaced the coil pack, the ignition coil, and I replaced the map sensor, which is down underneath the throttle body. I cleaned the throttle body. I cleaned the map sensor really well. And still nothing. I still couldn't get it to start at all. Earlier I replaced the purge valve, and that, again, it may have helped initially, but eventually it just died. There was talk about ignition switches being bad. I took apart the steering column, took apart the ignition switch and looked at that and cleaned that up a little bit and put it back, and nothing. Possibly they were saying that could have been the anti-theft system, but my anti-theft light never came on, so I was kind of leery about that. So eventually I went to the crankshaft position sensor, which is down underneath the oil filter, and it's very hard to get to. I did it blind. I used a little mirror, but for the most part it was all by feel. It's a 10 millimeter nut or bolt on that, and the assembly itself is made out of plastic. And while trying to wiggle it out and work it out with the screwdrivers and what have you, it broke the housing on the old sensor. So eventually I snared it. I made a little wire snare and put it around the clip and was able to pull the sensor out like that. But I was having a heck of a time trying to get that sensor to even pull out after I got the bolt out. But anyways, the new sensor went in pretty well, and the vehicle started right up, and it seems to have fixed the problem. I took it for a test spin tonight, and so far so good. We'll keep an eye on it, but it looks like it was the crankshaft position sensor. And fortunately, I didn't dump a whole lot of money into a bunch of parts. But I guess the electronic control module, which is this one down here, has been an issue for some as well. But my problem was the crankshaft position sensor. Anyways, I hope this helps somebody. And go ahead and leave a comment if you want.